Hello, friends. It's Dr. John Worldpeace, JD. It's November the 7th, the day before the elections, coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico. This commentary is entitled Dr. John Worldpeace, JD Considers November the 8th, which is Election Day. So let's begin. November 8th, 2022 is going to be the most significant day in America since the Declaration of Independence. The beginning of the Civil War is the only other event that can be compared to it. The potential of what is coming is going to determine the future of America. And America is potentially going to be the first domino that is going to collapse the entire world human society. There exists a radical right-wing faction in America that has reached a point of anger because white America is no longer in charge. The long hatred of blacks by whites now includes all people of color and non-Christians. If Republicans win the House and the Senate, within days, a huge number of Americans who voted for them are going to ask themselves, what have we done? With not a shred of evidence that the 2020 elections were rigged to deny Trump the presidency, if the Trump Republicans lose the House and Senate tomorrow, there will be a sea to shining sea open rebellion to take America by force. They will not be successful, but many will die. The collateral damage cannot be imagined as we prepare to count the votes tomorrow. I have no doubt that there are radical right assassination teams assigned to Democratic leaders and others who win their elections. This is based on January 6th. If the Democrats win the House and the Senate, then the radical right will know they have lost everything they valued, a return to white America, and they will be on suicide missions to create as much chaos as possible. The template for Donald Trump is Adolf Hitler. Most of you never read anything about Hitler. I made a study of him a long time ago in my teens. My father said, what are you reading about that guy for? I said, because I can't understand how this happened. So I read every book I could get my hands on and got an idea of what was going on and how it happened, but I really didn't understand it until Trump got elected. Trump has followed the Hitler path to power. Do you think these armed right-wing ballot box watchers are not the same as Hitler's brown shirts, thugs who helped him to power? Hitler was elected and then he attacked the courts, the press, and other power centers and took over. I've had an anti-Trump website up since 2016. The site is huge. No one has been more aggressively calling attention to just what Trump is. That's at impeachpresidenttrumpusa.com. Trump is a traitor, determined to end the American democracy and put himself in power as dictator. This is how sick he really is. And your Christian neighbors don't care if there's a dictatorship replacing American democracy as long as it's ruled by whites. Let me say right here that Trump will not make it happen. Trump does not have anywhere near the majority of the population wanting to turn America back 150 years. But the chaos he will cause cannot be imagined by Americans. Most Americans are Sunday morning Christians these days, if Christians at all. The baby boomers were sold Donald Trump through the Apprentice TV show. Baby boomers tend to believe everything that comes through the TV is true. TV is entertainment. It is fiction and fantasy, including much of the news. Jesus is the ultimate for all ages. The Christ of the love one another mandate for all Christians. If you do not understand that Jesus is a radical left liberal with no equal, then you need to find somebody to explain it to you. Every day in office, before, after, and now, Trump has cursed the radical left. Every Christian by the name of their belief in Jesus is therefore charged by Jesus to follow the liberal path. Feed the hungry, shelter the poor, heal the sick. Jesus made it very clear that the rich were doomed. Trump is rich and has contempt for the poor, and he has had an infinite hatred for anyone who takes care of the poor, who were the core focus of Jesus' ministry. You cannot be a Christian for an hour on Sunday morning and claim to be saved by Jesus and love Jesus, and as soon as you step out of church and bow to the power of Trump, who is rich and who hates the message of Jesus, to take care of the poor. If you voted for Trump, you joined Trump in cursing Jesus. And if you curse Jesus, true Christians believe you will go to hell. Jesus is an abomination to Trump, and Trump is an abomination to Jesus. And guess who has more power? And this stuff about Christian nationalism is simply evil. Jesus said, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar's," and that was the end of it. Jesus was apolitical. He also said over and over and over and over, "My kingdom is not of this earth." Jesus would never advocate Christian nationalism. The election of Trump in 2016 was an abomination to God and Jesus. This should not surprise anyone. And all throughout the Bible, human beings were at war with God. Remember the flood? Remember Sodom and Gomorrah? Remember the end of Israel and disbursement of Jews after they crucified Jesus? So here we are again. Pilate asked the Jews, who do I set free, Barabbas or Jesus? The Jews, after all the miracles Jesus performed, yelled out, "Give us Barabbas." And out of all those he healed, how many were at the cross? I tell you this, if those that were healed were truly grateful, they would still be standing at the cross to this very day. The election of Donald Trump, which could not have happened without the Christian vote, was and is an abomination to God and Jesus. Jesus defined Satan as the father of lies because there was no truth in him. There is no truth in Trump, as is obvious to all Christians. American Christians own Trump. They elected him. Now what are you going to do with him? Re-elect him and his traitors? Is that the plan? So between Palm Sunday and Easter, April 15th, 2019, Notre Dame in Paris, Catholic Church, almost burned to the ground. That was the beginning of the end of Trump. and a warning to all Christian Americans in the world's human society to wake up. Then came COVID. Yes, Trump was president when COVID appeared. It was a second wake-up call from God regarding Donald Trump and his followers. No one knows where COVID came from. It was a God event. Everything was going fine for Trump until COVID. After COVID arrived, nothing Trump did worked out, all the way down to the election in November of 2020, when enough people woke up to terminate Trump's presidency and an honorable man, Joe Biden, was elected. The Trump MAGA traitors in the election tomorrow have run on election denial. Nothing has changed. There was no election fraud, not a shred of proof after 2 years. As the only advocate for Jesus Christ, I am telling you to support the Trump agenda or the Trump candidates is an abomination to God and Jesus. It would be extremely foolish to allow Trump Republicans to continue in power. Let me remind you of something else. The climate has become life-threatening. The climate is God's warning that Trump is a Jonah. And to continue to support Trump has no future. Trump and all his MAGA people need to be thrown overboard, just like Jonah. This is my message to you. If you can't read the signs of chaos and insurrection and lies and evil of Donald Trump and you vote his agenda, events will begin to take place in America and the world that no one will be able to deny are God events. And those events are going to be life-threatening, far surpassing COVID. America is the light of the world because only in America is there a constitution that is the most liberal one in the world human society. That is above race, above religion, above national origin, and above gender. America is proof that all nations, all religions, all races, all genders can live in peace. That is the American beacon to the world. America is the New Jerusalem. America is the light of the world. If you vote Donald Trump and his traitors into power, the wrath of God is going to be significant. It will be worse than give us Barabbas and the golden calf the Jews built while Moses was receiving the Ten Commandments. If America is turned over to the Republicans tomorrow, it will be a clear message to God that America, as the light of the world, is rejected. And then what use does God have for America? Tell me, if America goes dark, what use God of America? Now let me ask you this, for you that are considering voting Republican. I'm talking about women. Republicans are misogynist. Women are second-class citizens in America, as evidenced by the fact that female pay is 85% of males. Undeniable. Republicans hate women, and the Republican Supreme Court has shackled every American woman to not abort a child, and if she does, off to jail she goes. There's no punishment for the men who got them pregnant. If a woman aborts a child, the law should impose equal liability on the father. But that's not how the Republicans wrote it up. And let me tell you why these anti-abortion laws are an abomination to God. Because the Republicans step into the lives of women as evil step-parents and demand these fetuses be born as children, and not one penny is allocated to raising these unwanted children. Well, let me repeat the message of Jesus. What you do unto others, you do to me. So Christian Republicans understand this. Every bit of pain and suffering these unaborted children endure, you are going to be held accountable on Judgment Day. Yes, there it is. If you want to be surrogate parents to children you demand to be born, you better set up a funding bill or go to hell. Republicans are racist, and black Republicans like Clarence Thomas and Herschel Walker are Uncle Toms, who are in power because they do what they are told and vote white. Uncle Toms hate blacks. They hate themselves. I've written a book. It's called Raw White Racism. I was raised in Houston, Texas. That's not the deep South, but believe me, that's South. And it's about the white attitude toward blacks. And it has not changed. I lived there. I heard all of the talk and all the acts and all the hatred for blacks and the moving out of the neighborhoods and the talk about King and all this. Go get the book. It's at Amazon. Raw White Racism. Read it. And if you're white racist, you'll recognize yourself in there. The whole Donald Trump sickness is about him being the great white hope to take America back to 1860. White is right. Veterans, of which I am one, you remember Agent Orange. Do you know about the burn pits? Do you know about Camp Lejeune? Republicans don't care about you. Seniors, do you know that Republicans have hated Social Security ever since FDR rammed it down their throats? Do you know they want to end it? Do you realize that all the money you put in has been borrowed out by Republicans and Democrats, so it is not paying its way now, and hadn't for decades? It has to be funded with current taxes. And the Republicans want to end that funding. Millennials, those born in the 21st century, Trump is going to make all the money he can with corrupt Republicans and fossil fuel burning down any hope you have to inherit a stable, life-giving Garden of Eden, planet Earth. The Republicans talk about balancing the budget by cutting services to the poor who Christians are obligated to support. Well, they refuse to talk about it. The American way to balance a budget is to tax the super rich. The first thing Trump did as president was to cut the taxes on the super rich. And that tax cut has not been reversed. Now we can't balance the budget. It's not about cutting services. It's about taking more from those who have profited from America. I'm not against capitalism, but you need to pay your share. All these companies, all these rich guys, and all these corporate people that own corporate stock, you're making money off the rank and file American. You need to pay your share. Americans that are Christians have a Christian agenda to take care of the poor. All the Republicans support the fossil fuel companies, and that fossil fuel is undeniably burning down the planet. No matter, money is the Republican God. It sure is Trump's God. Jesus is a contemptible left-wing radical to Trump, and the rich who buy Republicans to keep taxes low on the rich. When Trump was president, he was spraying the skies to push back global warming so the fossil fuels could continue to burn. Imagine thinking that you can play God with the weather. The military considers geoengineering a weapon to create weather patterns to destroy the enemy's ability to feed itself. Look up into the sky. If you see a jet contrail that goes horizon to horizon, that is toxic metallic spray to reflect the sunlight away from the planet. Insanity is what that is. That toxic metal drips down on your head just like Agent Orange for the Vietnam vets. Joe Biden was right on the money when he said the election tomorrow is about democracy. I say it is also about Christians dumping the Trump MAGA mentality that is an abomination to God and Jesus. Hey folks, vote for Republican agenda. Vote for the Republican agenda such that they control the House and Senate tomorrow. Then prepare for the worst. Like I said, it will be obvious God events. COVID was a God event as a wake-up call about Trumpism and his hatred for all Christians who follow the radical left Jesus. Let me be clear. I'm John Worldpeace, and I do not believe in violence as a means to solve problems. The traitorous Republicans stormed the United States Capitol supported by Donald Trump. And they were armed. And they have not been sufficiently and completely punished as of today. So if the Republicans do not win tomorrow, except an increased level of violence from the Republicans don't win tomorrow, expect increased violence from the radical right. I'm the advocate for Jesus. I'm the only global advocate for peace and world peace, and I have no peers. Will Biden run in 2024? There's only one way Biden is going to run in 2024, and that is to establish a Department of Peace in his cabinet and appoint me, Dr. John Worldpeace, J.D., as secretary. Why me? Because I am the only global advocate for peace and world peace, and I have no peers regarding my qualifications for that work. Well, friends, in the morning, the fat will be in the fire, as they say. A Democratic vote is the only vote for American democracy. A vote for Republicans is a vote against the future of your children because the planet will be in the process of destroying the human virus. Since Trump hates the radical left, he hates Jesus. So vote for Trump or his MAGAs is spitting into the face of God and Jesus. You can't deny that Trump hates the radical left, and if you're a Christian, you can't deny that Jesus was a radical left, ultra liberal. We'll see what happens. Good luck.